So one of the things that I've come across is a lot of my patients with trauma are wondering if they have autism. And I guess the best way to put it is it's possible. So the way to put it is when you're neurodivergent, your brain itself is not the same as a neurotypical brain. So like with autism, the rigidity, a lot of it comes down to the nervous system. So how they sense things, how someone with ADHD senses things, they can be very, very different in a good and bad way. Someone with ADHD can sense energy, people, emotions much more amplified than the other person, which is also what initially leads to rejection sensory dysphoria, but later can be a great tool to see and scan people, right? And so someone with autism, their social skills are deficient, but their analytic skills are enhanced. So someone can also have both, where they can be rigid and structured, which also helps someone that has ADHD offset it. So there is something called adhd, which is a combination of both. So it's almost like the brain can use both parts of it. A creative, right-sided brain that could advance and be an entrepreneur, but a very structured version. So it's like controlled planning, but also free spirit. So it's kind of unique. And both do have sensory processing, but I think people with autism, it's more amplified, sounds, textures. So there is masking on both ends, because a kid with autism will have to mimic someone else's social skills because to them it might be innately hard. And someone with ADHD, though less likely, will have to mask like not being impulsive, but honestly, because ADHD is very dopamine based that affects their brain, there's medicine available, so they don't have to really mask it. With autism, there's very limited medicine other than a few supplements. So adults as with ADHD, the new theory is that almost every single person with ADHD has a percentage of autism and ADHD. So in a good example is very high functioning autistic people, scientists. They also have a lot of their ability to use their right brain like an ADHD, and can think of things in an abstract way, not as concrete, and vice versa. Someone with ADHD can be unruly and all over the place, but with autism, it makes them rigid in certain ways. So certain chores or tasks they might forget, they will remember because they put certain things in certain places, which is a very linear autistic thing. So my theory, which is actually coming out, is that when someone is high functioning across both, maybe it's a combination of both that help counterbalance each other, because it would regulate their ADHD, but allow someone with autism to have flexibility and a lack of concrete rigidity. And so their social abilities, which I've seen for someone with that's high-functioning autism with ADHD, is much, much greater. Like, they don't have a lot of like concrete deficiencies in connecting people and communicating. So those are my observations. So that's kind of the new concept that's developing, is that most people do have AUDHD. It's just which one is very, very dominant, because they run on the same neurological process. It's just a matter of, for some, it switches on and off. It's almost like having two brains in one that's rigid and one that's creative and adventurous, and they counterbalance each other. And I've seen kids that will literally have one part of their brain take over for a split second, and that's a good example.